Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Every day you will catch us here at noon, between noon and 12:30 on Fox Local, as well as our Fox 6 YouTube page. If you're new to the show, we talk all about weather. We love to recap events from across the country. We like to dive into the science, which is always so fascinating when it comes to anything weather related. So you'll get a little bit of everything in the next 30 minutes.
And it makes it fun because every day it's something different, but we'll go from current events that have happened here nationally or globally, and then really focusing in on Wisconsin weather too for all of our Wisconsinites that are watching.
Yep, you got it. We love doing this every single day. And today we are actually going to start out west in California with some not so great news, unfortunately. Fire crews are now battling a new wildfire burning in Southern California. The Wolf Fire is what it's been named. Erupted in the hills near Banning in Riverside County on Sunday. It has now exploded to more than 2,400 acres at last check this morning. And the fire has forced several evacuations in the area. Now, as of this morning, CAL FIRE said the fire is about 35% contained. Now, I believe as of yesterday, it was 0% contained, so hopeful that they continue to make some progress here. More good news, no injuries have been reported. Now, the cause of the fire is unknown.
That's definitely a sad sight to see, with more fires ranging there from California to I was going to say Texas, but areas up north in Canada, we just can't seem to break some of those fires from igniting. So we'll continue to track that, and something that can ignite fires, lightning.
Oh yeah.
We're taking a different look here in Georgia. I know, right? It's a stunning display. The heavens caught on camera. Check out this fork of lightning stretching across the sky just east of Atlanta, Georgia. The video posted to X by Elena Davis Saturday night. It came after severe weather rumbled through the area, and really it can be kind of dangerous to capture this, but a spectacular sight to see.
Oh, yeah,
it looks like a trident in the air, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Not often do we catch lightning on camera.
No.
So a good catch there, to say the very least. And now on to Maryland. We are just making the rounds here as we start the show. A blade from a wind turbine, you may have seen this on social media, blocked traffic near Hagerstown, bringing traffic to a standstill for hours. Now, authorities say the blade broke loose from a truck that was transporting it overnight and was clipped by a tractor trailer traveling in the opposite direction. At least one person was injured. The Maryland State Highway Administration says all traffic lanes have since been reopened, but when you look at it on this video, it puts into perspective how big those blades are.
Read my
mind, it is basically extending from one lane of one direction to the opposite lane in the opposite direction.
Yeah, so when you see those in the air, I mean, they obviously don't look that big because the distance-wise is farther away, but they can be massive. And again, it just puts into perspective that takes longer than a truck length. Oh, yeah. So for that to kind of fall off and have that happen just makes you realize, again, the actual size of it. Hopefully everyone's going to be safe, though, in that situation. So also, speaking of people who are safe, we're going to talk about the heat, because a family of 5 adults and 6 children were rescued in Arizona after hiking in temperatures up to 114 degrees. The family of 11 called for help when several of the children began complaining of the heat and fatigue. It happened Sunday on the trail that was closed, actually, because of the extreme heat. Members of the rescue team out in Phoenix used rapid cooling methods and a blanket to carry a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old girl down.
It's really unexcusable, really, if you're going to put a child's life in that danger. When you have a 5-year-old, 7, 9, 11, there's a little bit of chaos involved in there. And so that was on every rescuer's mind.
Well, there are multiple signs posted that the trails were closed because of the extreme heat. All the hikers were assisted off the mountain. Thankfully, no one was injured and no citations have been issued. So again, even if you're traveling somewhere, I don't know if there are locals or not, it just goes to show that you have to read the signs. Always pay attention to the weather. And sometimes things just might not work out for your plans for the day, to readjust, because it's always better to be safe than to put yourself and your family in danger.
In situations like that too, it goes a long way to do research on some of those hiking spots. A lot of those mountains, in Arizona especially, heat aside, some of those are very difficult.
Correct.
So it's best to know that going into it, if especially some younger children are even capable of making that making a day out of it, to say the very least. But thankful everybody is safe.
Well, let's take a look at our regional weather because we're going to get relief from the heat today,
We
Steph,
are
right?
so thankful to be talking about that. And the best part is that it's still going to be a very nice summer-like day. I mean, it's still a day to hit the pools. We're going to see sunshine. We're going to see 80s here, but it's not that high humidity and those upper 80s like we've seen the last couple of days. It's a lot more normal for high temperatures today, at least in the Milwaukee area. But let's start with a broader view across the country. Look at, we are in the sweet spot. Multiple high pressure systems keeping just about all of the central U.S. quiet and sunny right now. In fact, we have sunshine essentially from the Great Lakes region all the way to almost the Pacific Northwest. It looks like there's another low pressure coming on shore as we speak, but otherwise, most of us are sunny with barely any cloud cover. Most of the thunderstorm activity and rain showers are along the East Coast down to the Gulf Coast, and that will continue to move out here in the next about 24 to 36 hours. That's where that stationary boundary is located right now. Warm front across New England states. Looks like there might be one severe thunderstorm warning down south a little bit, so there's a very slight chance for a couple of severe thunderstorms or severe weather in general in some spots along the East Coast. But once again, this will continue to move eastward throughout the day today. The convective outlook is rather small for today. It really is just along the East Coast where that frontal boundary is located. Looks like there's a slight risk there across maybe say the New York area down to the Virginias, with the marginal risk all the way down to about New Orleans. Also a small part across the upper plains to the Dakotas, a slight as well as a marginal risk. And looking ahead to tomorrow, only a couple of marginal risks. And I just want to explain here, you can see Wisconsin is included in one for tomorrow, and most of Wednesday is actually going to be dry, but we could start to see a few thunderstorms pop in, especially late in the day. And there could actually be a complex of thunderstorms that moves through Minnesota. So for those of us in Wisconsin, specifically southeast Wisconsin, you're going to see a sunny forecast for Wednesday. So it is a little confusing to see a marginal risk. Just know there is the chance late in the evening for those of us south to see a few thunderstorms. So it's not out of the question for a few of those to be on the stronger side. Not concerned at the moment, but something we will keep an eye on going forward later tonight on into tomorrow as that forecast continues to become clearer and evolve. For the rest of Tuesday, though, we cannot beat this weather. It is going to be beautiful. A couple more clouds at times, so eventually becoming, more of that partly sunny sky, but really comfy conditions. Low dew points and still very normal high temperatures, very summer-like temperatures, as we mentioned earlier. Heading into Wednesday, you can see a few thunderstorms start to develop across northern and central Wisconsin afternoon and evening hours. So that's what we could then see later Wednesday night move through some southern communities. Here's that potential small complex southern Minnesota to northern Iowa later Wednesday night as well. So at this point, couple of thunderstorms late in the day Wednesday. Otherwise, much of the day is going to be like today, sunny with temperatures a little warmer. Now Thursday, as we get closer to the holiday on Friday, sunny conditions expected, only a very slight chance for a pop-up thunderstorm. And Friday really is trending dry for the 4th of July. I think at this point we'll see thunderstorms developing out west on Friday. We could see those on Saturday, particularly late in the day. I think the bigger deal for Friday, for the 4th, is more so going to be that high heat and humidity, it's back. We're talking 90s, feel like temperatures, likely mid to upper 90s because of that high humidity. We're in the 80s for high temperatures today. You can still see some 90-degree highs down towards the south as well as out west. We always know that when that heat is back out west, we're eventually going to see it back here in Wisconsin. For today, though, everybody's looking at high temperatures in the 80s, a little warmer as you get closer to Chicago, but most of Wisconsin looking at low 80s for highs. And dew points will continue to fall at least a little bit today. So we are looking at low 60s, which is a whole lot better than, at this point yesterday, we still had dew points in the 70s in a handful of communities. It is fairly brief, though, as far as this low humidity goes. It continues into Wednesday, but by Thursday, upper 60-degree dew points are back. And then Friday into the weekend, we are just, repeating some of that heat and humidity that we felt in previous weekends with those high temperatures again in the 90s and those higher humidity levels with dew points in the 70s. So here's a look at your temperature trend as we look at the long range here. So comfortable today. Temps do climb as soon as tomorrow, though, but we're really watching Friday and Saturday as those highs will be back to 90s, as we've mentioned multiple times. So we've got a lot going on in the coming days. I'd say just get outside and enjoy some of that comfy weather we have today.
And we'll be tracking anything that develops and pops up during the afternoon.
Yes.
But the good thing for us, as you've been talking about, the chances are really, really low. So no need to cancel the plans. It will still be hot and humid. Very typical for, this time of year around the 4th. Just make sure you stay hydrated with water, and we still look to have some good beach days, I think, if people are wanting to head out.
I agree.
Well, let's take a look. Instead of near the surface, something a little more out of this world, heading into space. NASA says it just found a new planet. Now, no, it's not going to be that big star that we just saw in the middle.
That'd be cool.
Right? The planet is named TWA7b. Not the easiest to remember. Maybe it'll get
a fancier name soon.
At some point. It's a young, cold planet, nearly 100 times the mass of Earth, which makes it unique from all the other thousands of exoplanets discovered before. It's that we have a direct image of it, which makes it unique, thanks to the James Webb Space Telescope. Now that we know the planet is here, research for this is just in the beginning stages.
Wow.
Really cool.
Just there's so much we do not know about space. That is how big and how complex space is.
Yeah, it's cool to see an image, though, of this.
It is, I agree.
Love this.
Absolutely.
And we have other things in space that are helping us forecast the weather, of course, our models, and even forecasting hurricanes.
Yeah, exactly. Now, on Monday, though, NOAA said that they are going to delay the planned cutoff of 3 weather satellites used to forecast hurricanes until July 31st of 2025, so the end of this month. These satellites are used to get 3-dimensional details of storms, including during the night. Now, meteorologists warned of severe consequences of immediately discontinuing these satellites that NOAA jointly runs with the Defense Department. NOAA says their data sources are fully capable of providing cutting-edge data, but union of scientists think that they are losing the ability to more accurately predict where tropical cyclones could be going and losing the essential piece to monitor global warming. Now, either way, the data will be used for another month to help with hurricane season, which goes through November. So this is a big topic that us as meteorologists have been keeping an eye on and will continue to monitor, because these tools, they're just so beneficial in so many ways. So we hope that even past this, they stick around a little longer.
Yeah, vital tools that we need to be able to extend our research and analyze the current and future tracks of hurricanes or any storms that we have out there.
Yeah. Exactly. So stay tuned to stay tuned. Let's take a live look outside right now. The sun is shining. It's going to be a great Tuesday here in Milwaukee and elsewhere. We have plenty more Wisconsin weather experts coming up.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts, exclusively here on Fox Local. Every day at noon, where we have a variety of topics, science related, weather related. We've talked a lot about the current events and things unfortunately going on across the U.S., but we're going to bring it back here to home a little bit in a minute, talking about why Milwaukee is the best place to fly a kite. However, before we get to that, we do have some good news of a community that was impacted by a tornado.
We do. In fact, about a year ago, a tornado ripped through a community and left a church, a congregation without a building to meet in. Now, while the tornado tore through the church itself, it didn't tear apart the congregation. Sam Schwartz from our sister station in Madison has more.
Life is still going. God's still here. We're going to be okay.
Apple Grove Lutheran Church isn't going anywhere.
So many people are coming up. I'm just so glad you're rebuilding.
A year after an EF2 tornado uprooted much of the church.
It's been a hard year.
Pastor Dan Bowman says the congregation is still firmly planted.
There's so much roots, and we're right by a cemetery where roots obviously run very deep. And so we just thought, after with all that wrestling, that it's the good thing to rebuild.
After mourning the loss of their building, the church community is now looking forward.
Today, with renderings of what the new church might look like, and it's all cleaned up. The cemetery is all fixed. New fencing has been put up. It's just kind of like we're now moving towards the resurrection now of this whole event. So it's a very good day.
The sun rising once again. One thing has never changed. Hope.
There's been so much support from one another and from our sister churches in the area, community members. So it's really given us that clear sense that we're certainly not in it alone. People started really leaning more on other people. And so I think in the long run, that's going to be a real blessing to our church, our faith lives, and our community.
And a huge thank you to Sam Schwartz again from our sister station in Madison. Always great to see hope and rebuilding after such tragedy.
Yes, and I think they're going to have a great setup for the future, especially, somewhere local where you might be knowing of that area that was impacted last year.
Yeah.
Well, also speaking of places a little bit more local, Veterans Park in Milwaukee is a destination for kite flyers. Annual festivals draw in professional kite flyers to put on a dazzling display to demonstrate their skills. Flying enthusiasts, owner of Gift of Wings, and festival organizer Scott Fisher explains why people flock to Veterans Park.
One of the top 10 best kite flying parks in the United States because of the wind off of Lake Michigan.
The optimal wind for flying most kites is around 12 to 15 miles per hour, but it all depends on the wind direction to make a kite fly smoothly.
In the case of Veterans Park, if the wind comes out of the southwest, it's coming through the buildings, creating turbulence. If it comes off the lake, which it normally does, then we have nice, clean wind.
Fisher added that the temperature does not play a factor in how well a kite can fly. In fact, they fly kites on New Year's Day. The sun's energy is a primary driver of winds, so when there is ample sunshine, it can create thermals that bounce the kites around in the sky. It really was a pleasure to be able to go out there and talk with him. But what a cool thing, knowing that someplace here locally is one of the top places to fly kites in the country, all because of Lake Michigan. So with these warmer months ahead, maybe you get out there with your fam one day. Of course, he's got his kite shop, whether you support him locally or bring your own, and just spend a day with the family and try to fly a kite.
And it feels like such tradition and such a rite of passage to especially head down there, but just in general to fly a kite. I'm thinking of my kids, and you have kids and you just want to teach them all the stuff you did when you were a kid. So a great spot, and we're so thankful to have such a beautiful lakeshore here in Milwaukee.
We really are. Well, we're going to have a lot more coming up, so stay tuned. We're going to take a current look outside again at our beautiful city of Milwaukee. Plenty of sunshine, maybe a great kite flying day.
I think so.
We'll have more on that forecast and another look at the sky with some unique clouds coming up after the break.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. This is going to be the block all about clouds, which for a cloud lover like me, I'm here for it. We're going to start with an explanation of what we call asperatus clouds. And for that, we go to Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
Well, we get so many great viewer photos of clouds, and a lot of times we'll get the question, well, what are we seeing here? Well, let's take a look at one case. This is from Oak Creek, Wisconsin. What cool clouds here. Check this out. So these are called asperatus clouds, these wavy looking clouds. So cool here to be able to see this. So these are called asperatus or asperatus clouds, depending on how you want to pronounce it. There's no real clear, good pronunciation guide. We've always called them asperatus clouds, but you can call them asperatus as well. What's interesting about these clouds, actually several points to make about this. First is the naming. So we used to call these undulatus asperatus clouds. Well, in 2015, the World Meteorological Organization actually made this its own classified cloud called asperatus clouds or asperatus clouds. But again, it was officially classified by the WMO in 2015. And that's significant because the last time a cloud was classified by the World Meteorological Organization was way back in 1951. So it's rare that we see new cloud classifications, and that's what happened with this particular cloud in 2015. Now you might be wondering, how does a cloud like this form? Well, think of the air or the atmosphere as an ocean, right? So when you look at the ocean, you think waves, right? Well, that's happening in our air as well. In fact, in meteorology school, we treat the atmosphere like an ocean, like a liquid, if you will. And we have waves and turbulence going through the atmosphere just like we do in the ocean. So now with that in mind, as you look at this, well, you can tell there is a wave going through our air, right? Here's another photo of a very similar type of a cloud here, another asperatus cloud. And these can form in several different ways. In fact, there's still some question marks as to exactly how they form, but they can form on the front side of thunderstorms when thunderstorms are generating that wave-like action in the atmosphere. They can also form from what are called gravity waves in the atmosphere as well, again, that lead to that wave-like motion in the atmosphere. So really a cool cloud type. I know it's a very ominous looking cloud, right? But a very fascinating way as to how they form. Typically, they are not dangerous in any way, not like when you would be talking about, let's say, a tornado or something like that. Yes, they look ominous, but they are typically harmless when you see them, and they're just being generated possibly out ahead of a thunderstorm. It could often lead to a thunderstorm in some cases as it's generated out ahead, but usually there's no harm with these types of clouds, even though they look pretty wild. That asperatus or asperatus cloud in our skies.
Oh, a fan favorite. They
I
just
know.
look amazing. So a little science lesson for you. Next time you see them, you can remember those.
Yeah, and also that can also mean if you're flying, maybe a little turbulence up there,
yeah.
but they are beautiful, very photogenic. We had some viewer photos sent in this past weekend of this. You may have seen this. Becky sent this in from Racine. It is a sun halo, and some people wondered, well, what is this? It's a rare optical phenomena where the sun's light is refracting off of the tiny ice crystals in the sky. So usually on a nice calmer day, we have those wispy clouds, those cirrus clouds. That is what that is. Another photo of Jennifer sent this in from Burlington, and all it's doing again is refracting off of those high altitude crystals, creating this halo effect. Also similar optical phenomenons are sundogs as well, so something we can see on a nice day.
Yeah, with those high, thin cirrus clouds. And now we went over so much between clouds and flying kites and so many amazing topics that we covered today. If you have any questions, you can scan the QR code that you see on the screen, fill out the form. It will be sent to us, and we would love to dedicate some time to answering those questions. We covered a lot today, Lisa.
We did.
It was a good show.
And hey, tune in tomorrow. We're going to have even more fascinating weather coverage right here on Wisconsin Weather Experts, again, every day at noon on Fox Local. Get out and enjoy the weather today. way.
Yeah.
Heat arrives soon.
We'll see you tomorrow.